do it. I'm sorry guys, I just can't do it. So I really contemplated to see if I should break the tip off of these to show you guys how to fix it. But these are my personal knives and I just can't put myself to do it. So what I'm going to do instead is just show you guys how to properly fix the tip if you ever happen to break it off. And I'll show you on my knives, but again, I'm not going to break the tip off of it. So what I'm going to do today is show you how to fix the tip on your knife if you happen to break it off. Now one thing is that this method won't work really if you broke a big chunk off of it, just because it's going to be too much to grind. It's going to take a long time. So in that situation, either you need a lot of patience, or what I would recommend would be to send it in to someone to do it for you. Now if it's a minor breakage, this method will work really nicely and it's fairly easy to do. So the first thing you need to make sure you have is one of these. This is the roughest stone I have. This is a 220 grit rough stone. Anytime I'm fixing anything, whether it's chips or reshaping or putting a new tip on my knife, I'm gonna grab the roughest stone I have. In my case, this is a 220 grit rough stone. Now before I go ahead and start using my stone, I'm gonna make sure I prep it properly by soaking it in water. And in this case, my stone has worn down a lot. It's actually kind of thin. So what I'm gonna make sure I do is use a base. What this is going to do is give me a little bit more height so my knuckles can clear the table, but also give it a little bit more grip so it's a little bit safer. Now if you don't have a 220 grit stone, that's fine. Just grab whatever the roughest stone you have is. But again, it should be something that's considered a rough stone. So let's say that this knife had a broken tip. What I'm going to do is focus on fixing the tip first. I'm not even going to worry about the edge. I'm not going to be worried about the angles. The only thing that I'm going to do is be concerned about the shape of my knife, more importantly the shape of the tip. So what I do is at a very steep angle, okay, I'm not worried about finding the proper angle on either side. What I do is at a very steep angle, almost perpendicular to the stone, I'm just going to start grinding and working a new tip on my blade. Sometimes I'll grind the spine down as well. So I'll flip the knife over. I'm holding it backwards now. And again, at a very steep angle, I'm just going to grind. And the point would be to have the two sides meet at a point, and that will be my new tip. Now depending on what shape you want, you might have to grind more from the top, or you might have to grind more from the bottom. Now hopefully, to make it a little bit easier for you guys to see what I mean when I say you have to grind from the spine, this is a little diagram that I'm drawing out for you. So I'm going to draw perforated lines to show you what you want to grind off when you have a broken tip. So this is a knife with obviously the tip completely broken off. So what I'm going to do is grind down from the spine as well as up from the belly of the knife to create a new tip right here. And as I'm grinding, I want to make sure that this curvature is as smooth as possible, and this curvature matches the curvature of the rest of the blade. So if you do this properly, it's going to be very hard to notice that you even broke the tip off in the first place. The important thing when you're doing this is to make sure that you don't try to sharpen and fix the tip at the same time. If you do this, most likely it's not going to come out correctly, and by doing it separately, you're actually saving time in the long run. Now make sure that you're sharpening both sides, not only one side, but both sides. And again, at a very extreme angle, you're just going to repeat this over and over again until your tip comes back. Now hopefully, by doing that for a few minutes, you'll have a new tip. In some cases, it can take 5 minutes or so. I've fixed tips in a fairly short amount of time, but majority of you guys, it's probably going to take a little bit longer. So be patient and keep working until, again, the two sides form and create a new point. That's going to be your new tip. Now once you've done that, and you're happy with the shape of your knife, Now it's time to create a new edge by going back and sharpening it. Now you want to stick with the same rough stone that you've been using. Because you've been using such a steep angle, you've essentially completely dulled, especially the tip or the front part of your knife. So what you need to do now is use the rough stone again, but this time follow the basic techniques of regular knife sharpening. So there's a previous video that I've done when it comes to sharpening a traditional chef knife. You can follow that along, but essentially you're using the same technique as you would for sharpening, and you're going to create a new edge. Now this time you need to make sure that your angles are consistent. The angles are very important now that you're creating the edge and not worried about reshaping your knife. So once you've done that with your first stone, the rough stone, you want to make sure that you go through all your stones, including your medium stone and then your fine stone. Now one thing about this method is that you have to remember to go back and smooth out the spine or the back of your knife. If you remember earlier, when you were fixing your tip, you grinded the top part as well. So what you want to do is use the medium stone and the fine stone, and you can start to smooth that out a little bit, and that's going to help you achieve a better finish. So I really hope you found this video helpful, and maybe I've inspired you to go fix your own knife. If you have any further comments or questions, please feel free to write it down below, and I'll try to get back to it. Until next time, I'll see you later.